Are you guys using any AI at all?
I mean, the ones that everybody has, the
Yeah,
Copilot, the Chat GPTs, we don't have
ChatGPT.
anything ourselves,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
have said it has dramatically helped, especially on the sales side of things.
Oh, yeah.
And then when it comes to um, some trade shows and things that we're doing to use it to plug in, let's say, hey, what customers or potential customers are going to be at this show and where they're located. Chat GPT can go through it and then they'll say, oh, hey, this is also a report I can run. And as much as people are terrified of AI and, the robots rising one day, I think that if you're not using some sort of AI, you're going to have to. I mean, Google does it just with your normal search now.
Welcome to the Systems Edge. This is where we get into operational things in business. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not so good. But today we have a guest, Heather Bruce, the president of Osmanson in Iowa, Perry, Iowa, I believe. And Heather, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, we are in Perry, Iowa.
Yeah, nice. Not too far out of Des Moines, as I saw on the map. Um, I've been up to Des Moines a few times for the Iowa State Fair back in the day, so remember that well.
Y'all the
Yeah,
biggest fair.
yeah, it is. It is. It's huge. It's really big. It's a lot of fun. So, why don't you start by telling our audience a little bit about yourself, about your company, what you guys do, what maybe even get into what a typical day looks like for you.
So I'm Heather Bruce. I own Osmanson Manufacturing. We are a fifth generation, 123-year-old company. We have been in the same family for those 5 generations, and we've really honed in on ground engaging um, equipment and tools. So we started out with the tiling shovel back in 1903 with my great great grandfather. He had a handshake deal with John Deere himself. And he, along with two other family members, came over on a fishing boat, is the way they describe it. But if anybody knows anything about Norway and the boats that they make, think of it more as like those really small 3-person Viking ships, is really what he did. And they came down through Canada and settled not too far from Perry, Iowa. We have been in the same community for over 120 years. We have now expanded from those tiling shovels up to cedar blades, disc blades, and now getting into construction, mining, reclamation, and a little bit of forestry with heat treated ground engaging steel.
Oh, that's great. Wow. So, what does a typical day look like for you then, running a company like that?
There is no typical day for a president of a business. It's anything from working with my director of operations to working with my sales team on where the vision, where we're going. That's my favorite part of my days is when I really get to say, all right, this is where we are today and this is what we're planning for the year. What's 3 years out? What's 5 years out? Heck, what's 10 years from now? And we all know that they change. But the presidents and the CEOs and even the directors and levels of companies, they definitely have to have that strategic view of, all right, these are all the things that are happening, and these are the 7 other opportunities we might have. Which one are we going to pick and not get distracted by all those really shiny, fun things?
Sure, absolutely. Got to keep everybody focused. Yeah, absolutely. And that is fun, isn't it? In the beginning, or in the beginning, and just any time when you're able to get to talk about ideas in the future and stuff like that. Wow, that is exciting. So that's your favorite part. Questions for me are really easy. You go to one extreme or the other. So what's your least favorite part of the job?
The least favorite part is issues that are reoccurring issues. So problems that are could have been solved with a process that you thought you had the process nailed down, or it's you we don't go through enough of the whys. The everybody knows the 5 whys. You don't go through enough to really pinpoint the actual problem. You just are getting enough of the symptoms eradicated. And those would be the messy parts that I'm not a fan of because I love solving a problem and all problems are solvable. And I firmly believe that If you only come down to two decisions of a problem, you don't have a decision, you have a dilemma. There's always a third choice somewhere that nobody's really thinking of.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So can you give me a specific example of something to help me understand, help our audience understand a little bit more?
Yeah, so we have really high quality standards. And so there might be something that escapes for whatever reason and gets to the customer. We come back, and then 3 months later, if that same issue persists, we're like, well, we thought we already solved that issue because we are ISO certified. Any issues we have, we try to catch it internal first. But if that comes back from the customer, A, you're like, well, what the heck happened? How did it get past all of these safeguards? But then it's we thought we solved the problem 2, 3 months, 6 months ago, a year ago. These are the SOPs based upon that same thing that happened. And they're little things, they're those little nuances that's like, how did somebody forget a hole that was supposed to be in here? How did somebody forget that this needed painted? Just one, like 1 or 2 little things in a whole package, and you're like, that sticks out like a sore thumb, but things happen, people get rushed, there's the human error. And so those types of issues that seem like they're easy, they're solvable, and 90% of the time it's a process related.
Yeah, yeah, it can sometimes be automated or there's a systems issue somewhere for sure. So what's the impact of that when that happens?
Well, the impact, it's hard for you to stand on. I have really great quality standards when a bad quality, even if it's one piece, goes out the door because everybody's is quality. And I don't think anybody's out there saying, oh, yeah, I make really bad products for you. So that opens the gate, especially in a competitive niche industries that we're in. And then the other problem with it is then if we don't take care of it, there'll be more out the door. And it's trying to get to the people that it's not a you issue, it's a process. And how do we solve this process
Mhm.
so it doesn't feel like management is just getting down on the person?
Right, right, right. That's a good point. That's a really good point. So how do you typically go about fixing those things then?
So I have a really great director of operations. He's very patient and absolutely wonderful when it comes to coaching and teaching because he's the one that takes a step back and is like, well, what are we needing to do? What's happening? And because he's wanting to give all of our people a lot more of the autonomy because who doesn't want to be able to feel like they're in control of the work that they're doing?
Right.
So he always brings it, all right, we'll put this on the training schedule or we will revamp and make some SOPs. We'll see what there's out there and if those people actually got trained or when the last time they got trained.
That's good. That's good. I know it's funny. It feels like we dipped our toe in the water and then we just jumped into the deep end of the pool together. Just boom, we're here right into the middle of this conversation operation. So, and now I'm like, I don't know how to backpedal back to the shallow end for. I'm kind of like, okay, well, let's just go with it here in the deep end. But so you must have some business systems that you use to help eliminate some of these things. What types of business systems do you guys use? I don't even know how large your company is. I should have asked that. So,
So we scale based upon the industry. So the biggest we ever get is 120 employees working 4 10s, sometimes 5 10s when it's really busy. And then we'll usually have 2 shifts when it's that crazy. A third shift, by the way, a first and a third, not a second shift that is traditional because nobody wants to work second for one. That's like the killer shift of all. And then the second part about it, it gives some about 4 hour time for maintenance to if there's issues during one shift or another to be able to help maintain that before the next shift comes on.
nice. That's good. That's good. So you have your business systems. Like the software side of things, maybe I've seen companies of 1,000 employees run the whole thing on spreadsheets. Some people obviously have ERP systems. You guys have your homegrown? Or are you guys, do you guys use
So
some off the shelf stuff?
yeah, we use off the shelf. Currently, we're with Global Shop Solutions. We're in the process of transitioning to Godland and the Infor system that they have. It's better equipped for the manufacturing that we're doing and getting into. And that's the one thing, unfortunately. You can say, oh, I love ERPs or I'm going to go with this one and stick with it. Companies are like people, they're growing and ever evolving. So just because you have one software and it worked at this stage doesn't mean it's going to work at the next.
That's right. That's right. I don't know what your bookkeeping is, but I hear that all the time because I, in software, talk to company leaders like yourself, and they'll say, yeah, QuickBooks took us only so far. And then you just, had to move on. And sounds like that's what you're describing. You have to kind of you outgrew it, so to speak, actually, so that's good, and then, do you guys have any other systems that plug into that or you extract information? And the reason I ask that is I'd say as because 'cause I'm in software, the number one thing we get is that our ERP is great, but we can't get this information out of it, or we need a reporting that's separate, or I don't know, that kinda thing, so, you guys do any of that?
Yeah, so one of the things with the new ERP we're going to, we have a payroll system that's gonna be able to plug into it. So we use Paylocity, which has been a godsend.
Yep. Yep.
And then we're also going to use our preventative maintenance software. I don't quite remember the name of it, but it's an easy plug and play using PLCs to help maintain and manage, and that's exactly what we're going to do. And then we're
Nice.
also going to be able to turn on true live manufacturing, so it'll cut down on some of the meetings or, well, where are we with this product that needs to go out the door? So that'll be
Mhm.
helpful.
Kudos to you guys for being so on top or to you to being so on top of all this, your systems sound amazing. I mean, you were on top of it, and you got a lot of automation built in, and, you've made some good decisions so far, it sounds like, so, you keep
Thanks.
are you guys expanding and growing? Are you guys, or is that the goal?
Yeah, so we are in the process of getting our second location up and running out of Kentucky. It'll be the first time we've ever been in another state as a company as a whole. Part of this was brought on when COVID was crazy and most vendors and manufacturers just couldn't keep up due to capacity. We know that where we're located and the workforce that we have available, especially with some new bigger players coming close by, we won't be able to ramp back up as easy as we were when ag economy and different things come back. So this gives us some relief into being able to do that.
Okay, I imagine that's gonna bring a whole or is bringing a whole new set of challenges to set up a whole new operation somewhere else too, so
Yeah. It's starting to become real because you're like, you have to back up the timeline. It's like, oh,
right.
that's this year sometime.
Right, unpack that for us. What is what I mean, how far along are you in that process?
Well, so we're about 2, 3 years total that we've been working through this.
Okay.
Getting the approvals and working with Kentucky Economic Development was a breeze and very easy. By the way, I'm gonna plug that. If anybody's looking at a
There
second
you go.
location, Kentucky, especially Western Kentucky, is absolutely wonderful. The people there are generous, work hard, etc.
Mm, wonderful.
Not that, I'm a little biased, but um, Kentucky's been great just working with between the governor, the economic development teams, and then this communities themselves. And then the other part with it, we are working towards the construction, and that's been about a year and a half. We had a pause when in 24 happened and the ag economy really took a major shift. This helped us to be able to retain employees by a few things we did there. So we paused that, and then we're hoping to get back up and operational very quickly to be able to have our still promises that we have for third quarter with Kentucky. So
Wow, that's excellent. Boy, I can think of a dozen questions all around just that, the challenges you might have had or operationally around that. I would imagine you got hiring and, questions like, I don't know, maybe you can just quickly are you using the same ERP, for example? Are you gonna even use it at all in the beginning? Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. You could probably run for a while on that one for us. So, how has that affected your current operations?
nothing as of right now is really affected much other than the Perry location's really just bankrolling
Okay,
the
yeah,
more than anything.
gotcha.
But what we've really decided is what we're taking down there and what we're really trying to separate the 2 locations. So yes, there'll be some built-in redundancies
Mhm.
on steel, etcetera, but we're really gonna have them separated so that we can use one scheduler to do both
Oh,
facilities, at least in
okay.
the short term for sure.
Okay. Is the scheduler built into your ERP system?
Yeah, so
Okay.
but we have one person that's
Yeah,
maintaining and doing all those
gotcha.
things.
One scheduler as in a person. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably oh, I've just seen it where it's like 3 full-time jobs sometimes, so, um so if you had, unlimited budget for the next couple years, what kinda things would you do?
Oh, my world would be my oyster.
Sounds like it from what you're describing.
I would be able to definitely put in some more automation. Some of the things that we're wanting to do is we have turning machines And what I'd like to do is make them into cells. So I have one operator using whether it's unloaders, cobots, robots, different things, but basically one person, two cells. So I'm getting about 75% more throughput without really having to tack on more people, but using that person for what they're really good at, which is their brain. They're absolutely wonderful. They're really good at the technical. A robot's great of just plug and playing all day long, but there's and even the AI, yes, they're learning, they're getting there. But my people, they'll see, oh, well, that's off, or the machine's making a weird sound. They know the work environment that they're doing. So I'd much rather have my people still there by
Mhm.
making their just physical job labor easier.
Yeah, yeah. Do you, so you how many machines are you guys have and PLCs and things like that? I mean, some shops have 100 machines and 4 PLCs, and some have 100 machines and 100 PLCs, like, it's a lot. Um,
We have just about all of our equipment is about to run on PLCs, especially some of the older stuff.
wow.
We just invested in some new furnaces. So we have 5 new furnaces at our Perry location, new presses. So those all have PLCs in them as well. So we have 5 production lines. And on those lines, I would argue there's 7 different pieces of equipment on them. And then we have 10 turning machines.
I'm just so I've walked into a lot of different shops that I mean, they're not like exactly like yours, but just been through a lot of tours over the years. And there's it just seems like I mean, it sounds to me, if I'm hearing it right, your systems you've set up are almost running almost the smoothest I've ever heard. There has to be some things you're still working through with some of those things. Is there anything that comes to mind?
Oh yeah,
Some
I
pain,
mean, you
some
still
pain
work
points, I guess you could say.
equipment downtime is still a
Okay.
thing. Like, that's
Yep.
always gonna be a thing. PLCs are still a thing. There might be something we thought was on a shelf and it's not, to make some preventative maintenance take care of, or there's always still those. And then I would love to say that all operations work smooth, but they don't. There's always the human part of things, and humans are messy by nature. So there's always going to be somebody might just have a rough day. All right, great. So who gets to kind of go and buy that person coffee to cheer them up? Or it's just one of those things that we all have those times, but being a family company and genuinely caring about each other, I think helps us be able to really dig in when it's the tough times. And then also really dig in when, hey, we got to get stuff out the door. Let's get through this. And then spring will be here and we'll be back to our 4-day weeks. So
You sound like a wonderful company to work for, actually.
thank you.
You really do. So what breaks first though in your processes? Is anything like is you noticed anything that tends to break more commonly than another?
Software is the biggest thing that always breaks the most. I mean, as I feel like computers wanna take, the day off more than humans even do. But we'll have different things with our ERP, and sometimes it's people just get a little too click happy. Other times, it's just it's too cold outside because it's -20, and it just doesn't wanna work the way it's supposed to, even though you're running on fiber and you're doing all the things.
Yeah.
Computers are like, I just don't want to today," and so they're just a little bit slower.
Yeah. Have you figured out a way to I guess make it not break as quickly? Do you have IT people that are internally that kind of are running all this stuff?
No, we've tried an internal IT and we didn't have enough to keep them constantly
Mhm.
busy.
Yep.
And so that's not fair to their skill set. So we have a third party IT that helps us with things. At the end of the day, it's just the glitches in the software, which is again part of the reason we're moving to a different software to, fingers crossed, hope that it will help with some of those
Yep.
nuances of, oh, hey, I have 3 codes that just crashed into each other.
Yep.
How
Yep.
do we prevent these codes from crashing into each other? Now,
Yep.
see, that's not my world. That's your world.
Yes, it is. And this is where I get a chance to plug what we do at freedomdev .com, where we're the same thing. We're a third party, and we have lots of companies, usually local, but all over the country, like you, who lean on us to be that, fill those gaps like that. And once we learn their systems, there's value, for sure, because once they understand your systems, that's important. Um, so, are there some systems do people avoid touching?
Hmm. There's always different jobs and processes that nobody likes to do, but I would say nobody actively avoids
Mm,
doing anything.
mhm,
We've been really fortunate that we use Make You Safe for to keep track of not only the heat but the environment, and then any bad movements that our people are doing because we are so ergonomically friendly. Doing that same motion over and over is still just as bad on your body. So if they do
mhm,
one wrong or they have an almost slip, those things track. That was probably one of the softwares that was really hard to try to get supervisors to really like, no, I want you to go in and see and check. Oh, well, it's nothing type of a thing. But
mhm.
since actively putting more eyes on those things has really helped keep our numbers low. Our accidents, our almost accidents, all of those from happening. We actually have hit a record, I want to say, for over 200 days without any accidents, knock on wood. And
Wow,
that's pretty huge for any manufacturing, let alone for ourselves. So,
absolutely. That's very impressive, actually. So you probably win the OSHA Gold Star Award this year or something.
yeah, see, I just want them far away from my facility.
It's far away, exactly. You don't want them anywhere near. I know they have a job to do, but, which is good, but boy, they sometimes stick their nose where they shouldn't, and I can say that because 'cause I'm not in your world. They're not gonna come after me, so, are there some numbers in your operations that you wish you had access to but don't?
Yeah, so there's definitely when it comes to standard costs and how those standards are built into
Mhm,
our system, there's just definitely numbers that seem like they're in there. They're because it makes up these reporting numbers, but it's how do you get to that root number? And
mhm,
then so that's definitely something we've been working with the accounting team because they see, well, I see these numbers and this makes it, but there's still something missing. And we've been yet to figure out where that number is hiding. Then
yeah,
there's also other nuances that's interesting where the scheduler will see different inventory numbers, which is vastly different than what the shipping dashboard will see of what's ready to go. And it's, well, those numbers should all be communicating to each other, not be different.
mhm, mhm, absolutely. Are you guys, using any AI at all?
I mean, the ones that everybody has, the
Yeah,
Copilot, the ChatGPTs, we don't have
ChatGPT.
anything ourselves,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
have said it has dramatically helped, especially on the sales side of things.
Oh, yeah.
And then when it comes to, um, some trade shows and things that we're doing to use it to plug in, let's say, "Hey, what customers or potential customers are gonna be at this show and where they're located?" ChatGPT can go through it and then they'll say, "Oh, hey, this is also a report I can run." And as much as people are terrified of AI and, the robots rising one day, I think that if you're not using some sort of AI, you're gonna have to. I mean, Google does it just with your normal search now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Is there an area that you would apply AI to if you could, like, right away? I mean, when you start talking about numbers, I'm thinking I know people that plug in their well, they can ask some AIs to go, "Here's the prompt, here's the parameters. I can't find this data. What would you suggest?" I mean, is there something you'd try to plug it into right away if you could?
If I could have a secured AI for my own system, like in softwares, I
Mhm.
would definitely want it in my finance department to help cut down on some of the book work that they have to do.
Yep, yep.
Especially when it comes to year end and month end, I would love it if it took them like 2, 3 days instead of maybe 5 days for some of the information that they need to gather. And
Yeah.
then I would also love to see it be able to do more on the, operation side of things. I haven't quite figured out other than, like, in the scheduling arena, what else like, what actively we could use it in, but I know that there's something out there and available, so those would be definitely places I would wanna plug it in right away, but we are
Yeah.
using a couple new sales, um, CRMs that have some of that stuff built into it as well, which will be great.
Yeah, yeah. I know in accounting, the challenge I found is, trusting the data. It's like one thing for you to send it in and go do its job, but then, like, how do you know that it's spitting out something that's accurate when it crunched, 40,000 different numbers and then, 100 different combinations? That's you gotta is data trust another would that be a concern?
Yeah, data trust across the board is always a concern on different parts of our businesses. Like, well, I don't trust this data here. It's like, well, if you're not trusting those numbers, then how are you trusting these numbers over here? So at some point, you have to either believe everything that's in there and are trusting what it is, and then you're just verifying it in a different way, or you're just assuming it's always wrong, and then you're just going to be working 60, 80 hours a week.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a really good point. Yeah, at some point, you have to trust, the input, right? The prompts that are going in. Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, you could almost granularly go back and say, I trust this, I trust this, I trust this. So I trust the input. Now, I guess you hope that it crunches and outputs. I guess I don't know. Have you you use? Sounds like you use it. I know personally. Like I'm always like, you made a mistake here. I'm telling Chat GPT all the time. You blew it, and it'll go, oh, I'm sorry. You can't afford your
Well, there
company to. Yeah,
I will say, I think that it's the level of prompts and how you prompt the different
yeah,
AIs.
yeah.
But what I have found, if you, I don't care, I'll use a prompt saying, "Hey, I'm a CEO of X 500 company or what have you. These are the reports I'm meeting. Please spit out the information I want." And then it'll calculate different things based upon that search or that prompt. Same thing, but I can do the same question, but saying I want to be a CFO look, and it'll give you a completely different number. So, like, not that the numbers are different, but the way that it frames it.
Sure, absolutely. Interesting. Wow. Boy, I could talk to you for another hour and a half. So I did hear you're writing a book. I'm going to give you a chance to plug that. So tell our audience about your book you're coming out with. What, any details you want. When it's coming out, the title. Oh,
So, my book is about the human part of leadership. It's really about being your authentic self and being a leader. And I truly believe that leaders are, you're made a leader already. That's just innate in who you are. But just
mhm.
because you don't hold a CEO title or the president of the United States title doesn't mean you're still not a leader. You could be a leader in your community because you're somebody that everybody counts on. It's definitely on how to bring your authentic self forward, because as soon as you trust in your own abilities as a leader and yourself, then other people will follow you.
Okay, very cool. And when are you coming out with the book again?
Not until 2027.
Okay, perfect. So you're in the thick of it then, you enjoying the process?
It is. It's been a lot of fun. I've been working with Forbes Books, which has been excellent.
Great.
And then we will be having teasers probably starting in late summer about the book coming out, and hopefully be doing some social medias. But then the biggest part, it will be on Amazon and there'll be some Amazon reviews. So if you do decide to come and read the book,
There you go.
any feedback would be welcome.
There you go. Awesome. Well, good. Well, this has been enlightening. I'm excited to see how this show turns out here once the editor's done with it. You've been great. I appreciate
I
you
will definitely
taking.
send you a book.
Thank you. Thank you. Sign it too. You've been able to pull back the curtain a little bit, I think. And I appreciate you being so open and honest, with our listeners because that's the goal of the show. We want to have a conversation, but quite often, and it's great to be inspired, but quite often people just aren't willing to like say, hey, here's our challenges. Here's what we're up against. And it can be therapy for a lot of people like yourself out in the marketplace. So thank you so much. Appreciate you being on the show.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for the opportunity, David.
Thank you.